In the realm of extraordinary claims, few are as captivating and controversial as those concerning reincarnation, particularly when they emerge from the mouths of children. James Leininger's case is a standout example, thrusting the topic into the limelight with its detailed assertions and startling implications. At the tender age of 2, James began sharing vivid accounts of a past life as a World War II fighter pilot who met a fiery end during the Battle of Iwo Jima. His parents, initially skeptical, embarked on a rigorous quest for verification, delving deep into military archives and contacting surviving relatives and veterans. What their research uncovered challenged their beliefs and stirred a global dialogue on the possibility of life beyond death. James Leininger's story began in an ordinary American family. He was born on April 10, 1998 in San Mateo, California, to Bruce and Andrea Leininger, who described their household as a typical non-religious one, with no particular beliefs in reincarnation or the supernatural. His early life was unremarkable until around the age of 2, when James began exhibiting behaviors and knowledge that were both unusual and complex for his age, particularly about aviation. The first significant event in James Leininger's remarkable story unfolded in February of 2000, when he was just 22 months old. Living in Texas at the time, his father decided to take him to the Cavanaugh Flight Museum just outside of Dallas. The visit was memorable, particularly because of James's extraordinary fascination with the aircraft on display. He was especially captivated by the World War II exhibit, showing an unexpected and intense interest in the planes from that era, marking the beginning of a series of events that would soon capture the attention of his family and, eventually, the world. His parents noticed his deep fascination with toy airplanes, which quickly escalated into an obsession. However, it wasn't just a toddler's typical fixation. James displayed what appeared to be an expert's understanding of World War II aircraft, pointing out obscure details and correcting inaccuracy in toy models regarding their design and historical use. James claimed he flew a Corsair, a specific type of fighter aircraft known for its distinctive bent wings and its role in the Pacific Theater during World War II. He could point out minute details about the Corsair that were accurate and consistent with historical facts, such as its flight capabilities, the layout of the cockpit, and even the challenges pilots faced while landing on aircraft carriers. This level of detail was surprising because Corsairs were less well known compared to other fighter planes of the era, and their operational specifics were not common knowledge, especially not to a child. The situation took a more serious turn when James started experiencing intense nightmares, repeatedly waking up screaming and in distress. During these episodes, he would shout about being trapped in a plane, fire, and the plane going down. His mother, Andrea, recounted that during the day, he would slam his toy plane into the coffee table, saying, "Airplane crash on fire! Airplane crash on fire!" Some think that these dramatic play scenarios and night terrors were James's first indications of recalling a past life. One of the most striking aspects of James's story was his claim about his identity. He said his name was James Huston Jr., a detail that initially puzzled his parents. Through their research, Bruce and Andrea Leininger discovered that James M. Huston Jr. was indeed a real U.S. Navy pilot who had been killed in action during the Battle of Iwo Jima. James's detailed descriptions of his death were particularly vivid. He claimed that his plane had been hit in the engine by Japanese fire, and he had crashed into the water and died at Iwo Jima. Initially, Bruce and Andrea were baffled and concerned by their son's behaviors and claims. They first approached his experiences with skepticism, attributing them to a child's vivid imagination. However, as James began to provide increasingly specific details about his apparent past life, such as names, types of aircraft, and even personal experiences from the perspective of a World War II pilot, their skepticism turned into a proactive quest for answers. Their investigation began in earnest when James mentioned flying with someone named Jack Larson. Bruce looked into squadron rosters from the era, ultimately finding a Jack Larson who was indeed part of a Navy squadron during World War II. This discovery was a significant turning point, as it moved Bruce's efforts from skeptical inquiry towards seeking understanding. Driven by both concern and curiosity, Bruce embarked on a journey that involved sifting through military records, reading history books, and reaching out to veterans who might shed light on the validity of his son's claims. This deep dive not only provided surprising corroboration from historical records, but also connected the family with living relatives of James Huston Jr., the man James claimed to have been. As Bruce and Andrea navigated this unexpected journey, their initial disbelief gradually transformed into a cautious acceptance that their son might indeed be recalling a past life. This evolution in their thinking was mirrored by a broader dialogue within their community and among all who would come to hear James's story, challenging many to reconsider their own views on life, death, and what might lie beyond. It is important to note that throughout this process, Bruce and Andrea were not only driven by a desire to validate the historical accuracy of James's memories, but also by a need to understand and support their son's emotional and psychological well-being. His nightmares and the vividness of his recollections were concerning, and his parents sought advice from psychologists as well as experts in the field of past life memories. Some psychologists propose that stories like James's could be a form of coping mechanism or a way to express anxiety and stress. Nightmares and play acting, common in many children, might be wrongly interpreted as evidence of past lives, when they could simply be a child's method of dealing with fears or external pressures. In the broader academic field, there are criticisms about the methodology used in researching cases of past life memories. Critics argue that much of the research lacks rigor and doesn't adhere to the strict methodologies required in empirical science. There is a call for more scientifically controlled studies to ensure that findings are not the result of anecdotal evidence or biased interpretation. James Leininger's case is one of the most publicized instances of suggesting possible reincarnation, but it's far from being the only one. One of the key figures in the study of past life memories, especially in children, was Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist from the University of Virginia, who investigated over 2,500 cases of children who claimed to remember past lives. Many of Stevenson's subjects could recall intricate details of their alleged previous lives, including names, relationships, and often the ways they died. A notable case studied by Stevenson is that of a Sri Lankan girl named Shanti Devi, who at the age of 4 began recalling a past life in Mathura, India, about 145 kilometers from her home in Delhi. Her memories included her husband's name, the food she liked, and her childbirth experiences, which upon investigation turned out to be accurate. Stevenson's work often featured detailed interviews, on-site investigations, and cross-referencing historical and medical records, which are somewhat similar to the investigative methods used by James Leininger's parents. As James Leininger matured, the vivid past life memories that once haunted his childhood reportedly began to diminish. This phenomenon, common among children who claim to recall previous lives, typically sees such memories fading as the child approaches the ages of 7 to 8. In James's case, the intense recollections of being a World War II pilot that so defined his early years appeared to recede with age. Recent updates on his experiences are sparse, as public discussion about his case has largely subsided, leaving the current status of his memories largely undocumented. The story of James Leininger challenges our conventional understanding of memory and consciousness, weaving a complex tapestry of intrigue, skepticism, and wonder. As society continues to explore these phenomena, James's story serves as a poignant reminder of the mysteries that still elude modern science and psychology. Whether one views his experiences through a lens of spiritual belief or scientific skepticism, they undeniably enrich the ongoing conversation about the human soul's journey beyond the bounds of time and death.